What's going on, everyone? So, Los Angeles Lakers are officially in the offseason, and there is a lot of questions about the Lakers roster. Who are they going to keep? Who are they going to get rid of? The looming threat of LeBron James and him potentially retiring. I don't really buy that. I don't really believe it. I think that is the LeBron James pressure on the organization to upgrade and improve the roster. I expect the Lakers to very likely make some minor tweaks and some changes. Maybe we get a grand slam type deal and we get some huge kind of turnaround. But the reality is, Rob Pelinka is going to do what is available. We have seen him and his ability to find these great deals and capitalize and turn those into a successful roster, as we just currently saw. And I believe that a good chunk of this current roster is still going to be with the Lakers. But what I want to do is I want to go through all of the players that are on this roster currently and kind of give my thoughts on the players that I think will be retained, kind of give you an idea of the financial situation, and just kind of answer, hopefully, a lot of questions that many of you have pertaining the Lakers' current roster. And starting off with the core kind of four guys, I think we can kind of lump these guys all together. These are the four guys that I believe are essential locks to be a part of this Lakers team. Unless some crazy offer or something along those lines ends up becoming available, like say the Sixers call and they're like, give us Rui, Austin Reeves, and both first round picks and you can have Joel Embiid. I don't see the Lakers getting rid of these guys, right? So these four guys, I believe, are safe. I'm also not going to talk about Max Christie in this video just because he's not going anywhere unless, again, there's some big trade, maybe for, a Damian Lillard or something like that. Most likely he's going to be obtained. We'll see what ends up happening as far as like his play time and development goes. And then also Shaquille Harrison, because Shaquille Harrison is a guy that he's under contract, but he is more of just like an add-on, very likely for a potential trade. Or they'll end up freeing up that roster spot in order to sign somebody else. So those are the other two guys that I won't be mentioning, but these four guys, expect the lock. Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura are, of course, a concern. What is going to happen with them? Austin Reeves, the most that a team can offer is 4 years, $70 million. They can backload the contract and give what is called a poison pill contract to Austin Reeves, but he is a restricted free agent, and the Lakers could match whatever that contract is. I don't see the Lakers getting rid of Austin Reeves. I don't see, even if somebody does offer the max, with all the provisions, the Gilbert Arenas provision, things like that, I expect the Lakers to match whatever Austin Reeves is being paid. Rui Hachimura, same thing. Rui Hachimura very likely is going to get a bag. Now, Rui, he can be offered up to, I believe it's like 22 million, 23 million, something like that a year, roughly. And so he very likely could end up getting a max offer. The Lakers, again, he's a restricted free agent, can match whatever it takes to keep these guys. So don't worry about Austin Reeves. Don't worry about Rui Hachimura. The Lakers will be operating as an above the cap team. So keep that in mind as we go forward, because that means the Lakers, if you have a free agent, say James Harden or Kyrie Irving, you're not going to be able to go and sign any of those guys. If the Lakers let go of some of the guys we talk about, Malik Beasley, something like that, you don't get to replace that. I see a lot of people that are like, oh, just let DAngelo Russell go. Oh, just let Malik Beasley go. You can't. The Lakers have to at least keep those contracts, because then you can go and use those to maybe make a trade and upgrade your roster. If you just let all those guys go, the Lakers will still be an above the cap team and they won't have any salary to go and replace those guys. So keep that in mind. Also, I've seen a lot of people mention LeBron James needs to take a pay cut. Again, I want this to be an information video as well as sort of my personal thoughts. LeBron James is already under contract. He is set to make roughly 47, 48 million next year, and then he has a player option. So LeBron James can't restructure. This isn't the NFL. He's got his contract. We already have the understanding. The Lakers have no salary cap outside of vet minimum contracts, as well as a taxpayer and biannual, but very likely the Lakers will look for vet minimum deals, maybe potential trades, as well as maybe you can get a guy on a taxpayer, something along those lines, right? But don't expect any huge free agency signings. Even somebody like a Gary Trent Jr. or Fred VanVleet or somebody like that. The Lakers aren't going to be able to sign those guys. Yes, technically they do have $29 million in salary space, but that is if they let everybody go. So basically, they just kept it to the bone. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Jared Vanderbilt, and Max Christie. Then they would have roughly $29 million to spend. But you'd lose Austin Reeves, you lose Rui Hachimura. So forget that. Lakers are above the cap team. They're going to keep these 4 guys. Jared Vanderbilt. Jared Vanderbilt is a guy that is going to be around for the long haul. He's only making 4.6 million next season. They're not going to get rid of that. It's team option. He's not going anywhere. He's 24 years old. Best defensive perimeter guy we have on the team. We saw how great he was and how elite he was on that side of the ball. Hopefully they can develop and work a shot for him. That would be nice, especially that corner 3. If he could just get around league average, then he could be a real asset for this Lakers roster. But hopefully, he can make that next step and that next stride. Easy explanation. He's going to be a Laker next year, unless he gets added on to some type of trade. I don't see the Lakers trading him unless it's just for a really good package, a really good return. So Jared Vanderbilt's easy. DAngelo Russell. He's the one that many people aren't happy with right now, which I completely understand. He completely disappeared in the playoffs. He, in my opinion, even when we traded for him, I said he wasn't a 30 million a year guy. I thought he was a 20 to 25 million a year guy. The only reason he got a max contract of 30 plus million was because he was the kind of filler for Kevin Durant in that whole trade, right? Like the Golden State Warriors basically needed to get something back for DAngelo Russell, or for Kevin Durant, which turned out to be DAngelo Russell, which then they ended up trading for Andrew Wiggins. So it was just kind of like circumstance as far as D'Lo goes. D'Lo is probably closer to 20 million now after his performance. Some people might think he's even less than that, but based on the market and based on the contracts that people get, not just that, it's actually in the Lakers' best interest to give him 20 to 25 million. Because he becomes a tradable asset, right? So, for example, a lot of people want stars. You've heard the reports of Trae Young, Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard. Now, if the Lakers were to get a star, it would very likely be centered around and sign and trade for DAngelo Russell, similar to how the D'Lo was this added piece to basically get some asset back, as the mentioned earlier Golden State Warriors trade. So the Lakers aren't going to lose DAngelo Russell. The Lakers are not going to let DAngelo Russell just walk, because you cannot replace him. And he still, even with all his flaws in the playoffs, was a very good regular season guy. He was 50% from the field, 42% from 3 on the season for the Lakers. He is a guy that can be very valuable throughout the course of the regular season. The playoffs, you now know what to expect from him. You know that he is very likely a guy that is not going to show up come playoff time. So you can, at worst case, structure your roster with that knowledge of accordingly, that he is probably going to disappear in games more than otherwise. But most likely, you're going to retain him, try to find a sign and trade. If you can't do that, then he's still a tradable asset that you would have come the trade deadline, or maybe even potentially the next offseason when he isn't a sign and trade, which would hard cap teams. Now, DAngelo Russell, he is still very young, right? 26. He's a guy that can be a solid third, fourth option, maybe even a second option on a specific type of team. So he does have value. The Lakers would be foolish to just let him walk. They're not going to let him walk because, again, you cannot replace him. It's not like if you let him go, all of a sudden you have $20 to $30 million in cap space. No, you have no cap space regardless. So why would you let a guy that you can use during the regular season, as much as people don't like him right now, he's still a player that can give you, that averages 17 points per game during the regular season. That's still a guy. You still have to play 82 regular season games. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are still going to need help during the course of the regular season. And he's a guy that has value that you could end up trading to another team as a filler, or they just need a player, or maybe they just like DAngelo Russell, right? So the Lakers are going to keep D'Lo. Expect D'Lo to be around for at least the foreseeable future, unless some trade comes along. Malik Beasley, same concept. Malik Beasley has a $16.5 million team option, and they are going to keep him because he is, again, at worst, a tradable contract. If you let him go, you can let him, you could let DAngelo Russell, you could let Bamba, you could let all three of those guys go, and you still have no spending power. Or you could keep all three of those guys, and now you have roughly $70 million in salaries with the 125% rule to go and trade and maybe get some other pieces. So that's something to keep in mind. Same thing with Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley is a very streaky shooter. The idea was that he's a guy that could come in. Hopefully we get him on the right side of the streak, and unfortunately we didn't. But he's still very young. He's still a guy that at 26 has a lot of potential and growth and maybe can improve and get better. Or he's a guy that you can, again, give to a team that they could potentially say, hey, we want to clear cap space. Take a team like, let's say the Charlotte Hornets and Terry Rozier, right? Just using him as an example. I'm not saying that the Lakers should go after him. I'm not saying the Lakers will go after him. Just using him as an example. Terry Rozier has a, $20 million contract. Maybe they just want to move off of his contract. Well, you could take Malik Beasley and like a Shaquille Harrison, package those two together, trade them to the Charlotte Hornets for the Terry Rozier, and there you go. And now Terry Rozier's contract is off the books because they could just waive Malik Beasley and Shaquille Harrison, and they freed his money, and the Lakers got an asset. Worst case, you keep him, and he's a shooter off the bench that hopefully maybe is a little more consistent this upcoming season. At worst, he's a guy that just falls off the books next year, but you would have his bird rights, and you could always re-sign for a smaller deal, or maybe re-sign him again to like a one-year deal to maybe go facilitate a trade. It gives you flexibility. Again, a lot of these guys very likely are going to be there. So Malik Beasley, expect him on the roster one way or another. Then Troy Brown. So Troy Brown could go either way. Now, I don't think he is good enough to demand a big, huge contract. He did have some very solid, bright moments for the Lakers. He's also still 23, 24 years old. So there may be a team that offers him a reasonable contract on a flyer. The Lakers very likely are not going to offer him more than a vet minimum contract. Troy Brown is a guy that very likely may take less money to stay with the Lakers because he has a place that he's comfortable with. He has a place in which he would understand his role. He may even get a bigger role, especially with Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham really liked him. He had some really good, solid moments. He's still young enough to have enough upside to where if the Lakers can keep him, especially on a vet minimum contract, you do that. If somebody is willing to offer him, 8 to 10 million, he probably takes it because he's probably not going to get more than that unless he just has like this amazing season. But at his position, the Lakers are stacked pretty much, right? Because I do expect guys like Max Christie and stuff to probably get a bigger role. So I think it's going to come down to what kind of role would he have with the Lakers this year, and what is the offers that are fielded throughout this offseason. So to me, Troy Brown is kind of like 50-50 right now. I think as long as there isn't some like blowaway offer, or if somebody doesn't offer him like a 6-man starting role, something like that, I think he ends up staying with the Lakers. But don't get too attached to Troy Brown. It is very likely that he ends up being with somebody else next season. Although if the Lakers can keep him, I am all for it. I would love for the Lakers to keep Troy Brown Jr. Now, Lonnie Walker. everyone's favorite Lonnie Walker. I would greatly expect you to not get excited for him because he is probably gone. This was from day one a Malik Monk situation in which he was betting on himself to go get a big contract elsewhere. And as we saw with Malik Monk, he ended up signing with the Sacramento Kings. Lonnie Walker, maybe he sticks around for the taxpayer mid-level, something like that, which would be roughly what he got this year, which is roughly around $5-6 million. Problem is, he probably could get a little more elsewhere. Also, again, where does he fit, right? Now maybe if the Lakers make some trade, right? If they maybe trade Malik Beasley and go get a perimeter guy or a center or something like that, then maybe there's more room for him. But you got to imagine that if the Lakers don't make some significant trade, they're probably drafting a small forward, shooting guard type guy, some type of perimeter guy in this year's draft with the 17th pick. And then with the 47th pick, they may try to look at a big man because there's just most of the big men are going to be later draft picks in this year's draft. So the Lakers probably look for some type of like small forward, power forward type guy. And then with Austin Reeves, Max Christie, at some point you got to thrust him into a bigger role during the regular season. Malik Beasley, does he stick around? If he does, then do you really want to just have him riding the pine for $16.5 million? Wouldn't you want to showcase him to potentially trade him? I think it's a safe bet that the Lakers lose Lonnie Walker. I would love to keep him if there is any way that we can, and he's willing to stick around, sure, because he's still young enough to where he has the upside and potential. Little inconsistent, and he definitely needs to continue to work on his defense, but he's a guy that could definitely develop into a quality rotation guy for the Lakers. And he is a vacuum scorer. We have seen him and his ability to just go off. When he's hot, he's hot. And I think that he's a guy that could be very valuable for the Lakers going forward. I give him like a 30% chance of staying, because I think either A, somebody offers him the same amount of money, but he gets a bigger role, so he goes to the place that's going to give him the bigger role, or B, somebody offers him a much bigger contract, like we saw with Malik Monk, and he ends up taking that contract to go another way. Either way, I don't really think Lonnie Walker is going to go. I see a lot of people that are like, oh, like he should just stay for the $5 million, but then they talk about how great he is. Well, if he's that good, then he deserves to get paid, right? So, it would be nice. I wish all of our guys would take discounts to stay with the Lakers, but in reality, Lonnie Walker was betting on himself, as we saw with Malik Monk. I expect him to be off the roster next year. If for whatever reason he does stay, that would be great. I would love it. Wenyen Gabriel, I think he's an easy one. I think he is not going to stay with the Lakers. I think that the Lakers, it doesn't make a lot of sense for the Lakers. I think, one, you got Mo Bamba now, which we'll touch on here shortly. You also have the need for another center. I think we need a veteran-style center. You have like your project-type center. Maybe the Lakers go and make a trade for that, or more likely than not, they just sign somebody, whatever, a McGee, something like that, and end up bringing somebody in to kind of fill in that role as the backup center for Anthony Davis, maybe slot some inside. And now that we have Tristan Thompson and we've seen what he looked like, I think the Lakers are better off sticking with Tristan Thompson. He's still not that old. He's, 32, 33. He was great in the limited time that he played for the Lakers in that Denver series. He's also a bigger, more experienced Wenyen Gabriel, and a guy that just is better defensively, still gives you the same type of hustle and drive, and has the familiarity with LeBron James. I think if you're going to keep that small ball center type guy, Tristan Thompson is the way to go. He's also a guy that can play next to Anthony Davis. He's a guy that, plays small ball center for playing the Warriors or something like that. I think you go with Tristan Thompson. He's not going to cost you a lot. He's going to be a vet minimum guy. If he doesn't play, he's not going to fight it. He's not going to care. He's going to be just a vet guy that you need for a championship level team. Tristan Thompson is the way to go. So expect Winning Gabriel off the roster. Tristan Thompson, basically his replacement. Mo Bamba. Now, Mo Bamba, Lakers can go several ways with this. Again, he's a guy. They're going to keep his contract simply because, again, you cannot replace him. So there's no point in letting him go when you can use him as a trade chip later on. So there's two ways the Lakers could go about him. They could look at him as like, hey, he's our project center. He's still, 24, 25 years old. So we have a couple years to kind of develop him and get him disciplined on the defensive end, and he could be a real asset for the Lakers moving forward, maybe our center of the future. That is definitely a possibility, and the Lakers could keep him around. The other alternative is you use him as a trade chip to go get a better, more now type center, right? So just, again, throwing it out there, using this as an example, do you have an opportunity to go get Miles Turner? If so, maybe you take Mo Bamba, Malik Beasley, and Shaquille Harrison and go get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, and you work something like that out. And now Mo Bamba is just basically your trade chip. Again, the Lakers are going to keep guys, Malik Beasley, Mo Bamba, DAngelo Russell. That's why they gave Shaquille Harrison another year. So that way they have these guys, these contracts, these salaries to potentially explore trades this offseason. They have 2 first-round picks that they could trade. They have like 4 second rounds, I believe, off the top of my head, that they could trade. And they also have pick swaps and all kinds of stuff. So the Lakers are primed in a great position to make some significant trades. Maybe not a big blockbuster trade, they're probably not going to be able to do that, but they more than likely can get some role guys, like I said, a Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, something like that, a Terry Rozier, these blue chip type rotation guys, but not necessarily a star. Maybe the right star, maybe like a Trae Young, something like that. Maybe you could work that out. That's where Mo Bamba will come in. That's why they will keep him. He's a project, definitely. He's a guy that you could grow and develop, but he's also a tradable asset that you can use because a team could trade for him and then just waive him and clear salary. There is a lot of value in just clearing salary. There was a lot of offers and deals and stuff like that for Russell Westbrook. There will be offers and deals for guys for Mo Bamba, things like that. You got a lot of these tanking teams, a lot of these, middle of the pack teams that have sizable contracts that they're going to want to unload. Lakers could, be one of the few teams that it makes sense to go get X guy and unload these guys. Plus Mo Bamba young enough. There's a team that might look at him and go, oh man, we could develop him and maybe he could be an asset. So expect Mo Bamba to stick around. And then lastly, Dennis Schroeder. I really go back and forth with him. So the players that I think are a lock are, like I said, the kind of core 4 guys, I guess you could say core 5 guys, of LeBron AD, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt. Right? Those are the 5 guys guaranteed to be on the roster unless, like I said, Joel Embiid becomes available and for whatever reason they are part of the trade, okay? Something extreme like that. After that, you have Mo Bamba, you have Mo Bamba, Malik Beasley, DAngelo Russell. Those 3 guys are sticking around no matter what unless a trade happens. So that gives the Lakers 8 guys there, plus Shaquille Harrison, plus Max Christie. So there is 10 guys right there. Lakers will also have their draft pick, assuming a trade doesn't happen. So they'll have, their first round and second round pick. Second round pick, you could always just kind of keep floating around. So basically, they would have 12 guys, give or take, on the roster, guaranteed. That's not counting Austin. That's not counting Lonnie Walker. That's not counting. Like I said, they probably let go of Winning Gabriel, keep Thomas Bryant or Tristan Thompson. So there's another 2. So basically, the Lakers are already at like 15. Is my point. And that's not counting if they go get another center. Again, Lakers are gonna have a lot of decisions on their hands. Expect Troy Brown, expect Lonnie Walker are probably gone. Winning Gabriel, I think, is about the safest bet to be gone. Lonnie Walker, Troy Brown are probably also gone. Dennis Schroeder, I think is about, I want to say about 60-40. I think it boils down to what are the other offers and what are the roles. Where if he's stuck with the Lakers, he could still very likely get a six-man role, and he'd have his home in Los Angeles. He'd have his stability, right? Problem is that he's worth more than a vet minimum contract. He knows that. Everyone knows that. All the Lakers would really be able to offer him is a vet minimum contract. So does he want the stability? And also Darvin Ham loves to use him. So he'd have the stability and almost the guarantee he's going to play or be part of the rotation to some extent. Or does he want the money? That's really what it comes down to. He's already fumbled the bag once. Does he go and try to seek the money and try to sign a long-term deal? I think if somebody offers him a multi-year deal that is more than the vet minimum, he takes it. If somebody offers him like the taxpayer mid-level and it's a 1-year deal, I think he just stays with the Lakers for the vet minimum. Because I think he'll look at it as like, at least I know the Lakers will want me. At least I know what I'm going to get here. I can make an extra like $2 million after taxes or whatever, but I'd have to move. I'd have to do all that stuff. As long as it's not marginal, I think he sticks around. Now, if it's something where he's, somebody offers him, say, 4 years, $20 million, something like that, I think he takes that immediately and the Lakers lose him. I would like to keep him because I do think he has a lot of value. I do think he is one of the better sixth men off the bench. I really do. I think he genuinely is a solid contributor, solid piece. But in general, I kind of lean towards don't expect him back. But we'll see what the open market provides. I think it also depends on what other point guards are available, right? Like, what does the Phoenix Suns do with Chris Paul? If Chris Paul ends up being traded and bought out, then I think Dennis Schroeder's a goner. Stuff like that. So, again, kind of 50-50. But anyway, I hope that this kind of gave you some good insight, some good information, kind of helped you understand. The Lakers, again, have technically $29.5 million to spend, but they don't. They're going to operate as an above the cap team because they're not going to want to lose all of the rights to all of these players. They're going to keep these players around. You're going to have at least your main five guys and LeBron 80, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt. Then you have Max Christie and you have Shaquille Harrison. Shaquille Harrison, very likely they will try to include in a trade. If not, he's just a guy that they can waive and bring in somebody else. So you basically have your 7 guys there, and then you have DAngelo Russell, Malik Beasley, Mo Bamba, which bring you to 10 players. Lakers are going to have their first round pick this year and their second round pick. There's basically 12 players there. Lakers would only need 2 to 3 more guys. Lonnie Walker, Wenyen Gabriel are most likely the goners. Tristan Thompson, I think it just depends on what the center situation is. What do they do with Mo Bamba, stuff like that. But I think he could definitely be a guy that replaces Wenyen Gabriel. And then Troy Brown, if you can get him for a vet minimum, I think the Lakers keep him because I think he's a guy that is young enough that you could grow, develop, has some flexibility, guard multiple positions, and really help. And then Dennis Schroeder, I think is very likely going to be a goner. So I hope you got some information out of this video. I hope you got some value out of it. So if you have any other questions or anything like that you want me to touch on that maybe you don't really understand or you need some more information on, let me know down in the comment section. I'm more than happy to try to give you some insight. Again, I don't know everything, all the ins and outs, but I do know a fair amount. I'm not some cap expert or anything, but I do have a really good understanding, really good grasp of at least the Lakers situation. And that's enough for me to at least relay to you. If I don't know something, then of course I'll tell you, hey, I don't know. I can find out. and we'll get that information. But I'm pretty sure I have an understanding of pretty much anything you would ask. So if you have any questions, again, let me know down in the comment section below. If you got some value out of this, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'd greatly appreciate it.